Our global affairs analyst, Ejike Okpa, joins me to speak on the Russia-Ukraine war and its developments. Thank you so much for joining us on World Now.
Thank you for having me.
All right, it's been 2 years and a little less than 4 months of fighting between Russia and Ukraine. Now Ukraine has gotten the green light to strike targets inside of Russia, while Vladimir Putin warns that Russia could as well arm countries with a view to attacking Western targets. How dangerous could this turn?
Very dangerous. It tells you that this, cat and mouse game that superpowers play and endanger everybody. Russia know they cannot bring the war into the U.S., so they're going to go to a neighboring country, and that neighboring country is Cuba, and they're going to, position whatever arm they can to strike America. If that happens, who knows? Are we going to get into a third world war? So it makes us, everybody, to pull back a bit and say, Ukraine, Ukraine needs to defend itself. Russia needs to defend itself. Well, why should these two European countries, always, European nations are always the ones that are causing the world to have these structural challenges. World War I was European war, but was an European issue. Second World War was the same thing, but everybody has to be drawn into it. And for as long as this thing's been going on, we haven't learned to respect each other and have this neighborly love. Instead, it's always, things are going on all over. There's something going on with Rwanda and Congo. Is anybody concerned about that? But then Rwanda, Ukraine and Russia, and then the whole world has to take a position. And that's very unfortunate.
So why has the war lingered? Is it that certain persons or groups are benefiting on the sidelines?
Of course. The warmongers, they make a ton of money. You hear all these millions and billions like U.S. is giving, and some people are getting paid for that. And they don't want that spigot to stop, because at the end of the day, they don't care about the human lives that are lost. They care about how much money, how much comes into their purse. And then the people that build these weapons are being kept busy because, the more that is shipped to Ukraine, the more that are going to be produced in America. So it's all about the money. They don't care about the lives. They seriously don't. And I, as much as I am an American and I love, everybody's right to defend their country, I just don't think the Ukraine-Russian war should be such that all of us should all be invested in it and be concerned. Because, Russia has the right to do what they say they're going to do. If you're going to give Ukraine arms to strike target into Russia, then what do you want Russia to do? Just sit back there and acquiesce, or they say, okay, fine, we're going to find our own strategic positions and we're going to attack you. They might even attack us from within, because now you don't know, a lot of Americans, have divided interest. Some are willing to attack from within.
All right. So what countries do you think Russia could be talking about? Earlier you mentioned Cuba.
Just Cuba, because Cuba is 80 miles from Miami. That's as close as it is. It's not going to be Mexico. It's not going to be anybody. It's Cuba. And back in the 60s when the Bay of Pigs things happened, it was and Kennedy was able to prevail with whatever his name is to stop that. But that's Russia's ally in the Western Hemisphere. And then, I think in your news earlier, you said Russia said they're going to have, by June, some date, they're going to have, something in Cuba. Who knows what that is? Even Cuba is saying, okay, well, it's not going to have, the weapon, but it could very well have the weapon to attack Miami or attack any U.S., ship or whatever that is in that region.
But another world war is what the world can actually not afford. What do you make of President Zelensky's warning of the return of fascism to Europe, and what's the implication of that?
Again, the Europeans have been the ones, they're the ones that have colonized the world, they're the ones that have set an agenda for a whole lot of things, good or bad. So I hate the fact that Europeans can't find a reason, to live peacefully, just like everybody else all over the world. it's a white-centric, stuff. They have the power. We're going to have to do what we want. But my God, other people, the entire European population is not 1 billion. But they're the ones that have managed to impress on the world that if you don't do it our way, we're going to come after you. And the rest of the world should be able to stand up and say, enough of this nonsense. Because we are no longer in the 17th, 18th century where people come in and dictate to you how you have to do certain things. If people can come and respect your rights to live in your country, and then you can all trade ideas on how to peacefully coexist, then we should say enough of this.
So is the world?
So whatever.
Yes, Mr. Okwa, I was going to ask: is the world united enough to take that stance? Yes, there is the United Nations, but how strong is that body? I mean, to make such an intervention and for it to be respected?
No, all you have to do, look at the number. Look at the number of members in the United Nations. If the African 54 or so countries were to pull out and say, you know what, we're going to get out of this. We're not going to be going to the national, General Assembly every year and get our 15 minutes of fame. We want the charter to be written, and we don't want that Security Council, 5 of them, every nation to have a right to be a member of the Security Council. So that, we're talking about democracy. Every nation that is a member has the right to vote, not five that come in and decide to veto whatever else. So if those countries that feel that they are unduly affected and insulted, it's not just affected, they are being insulted because every president of a country, no matter how big or small you are representing your country and you deserve to be respected. So if the African nations and then the Caribbean ones and the South American ones say, you know what, we're not going to put up with this UN crap, and we're going to pull out. You have the right to say it. We're not going to attend and let them come and force you. But if you keep going, somebody's abusing you and you're constantly going there to plead. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to keep abusing you. So it's time for you to say enough is enough. And they too know it. But they're waiting for them to say that. But then, a lot of the leaders have compromised themselves such that they cannot stand up and say, we're not going to do this anymore.
Okay, so you have made your point, and I sincerely appreciate you. Edike Okwa is a global affairs analyst. Thank you for talking to us on World Now on TVC News.